What up, 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 what up? What's going on? Big D, what's good with you, sir?
What's up? How's everything going, man?
Yo, we here, man. It's all about Brooklyn Beards and Ball, man. So listen, this
Absolutely.
is what we need y'all to do. We need y'all to like, we need y'all to subscribe, and we need y'all to hit that little notification button, please, on the YouTube channel. All right. Every time we pop in, you'll be notified. All right. Please like, subscribe, share. Hit that notification button, all right? We really appreciate that, all right? We appreciate the love. We need that, all right, guys? Because we getting ready to talk some good stuff, ain't we, D? We about to get
Oh,
into it.
yeah, definitely. We got some really interesting topics to talk about in the sports world. Uh, wow, it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it all unfolds. Talking NBA, NFL. Uh,
Yes, sir.
let's get it
Yes,
started.
sir. Let's get it in.
Well, if you haven't, unless if you've lived under the rock in the last 72 hours, the world has been in a tailspin based on the Brooklyn Nets. We're going to start off with, let's start off with the what we thought was the inevitable. Steve Nash was fired. He was relieved of his duties. I'm not really surprised about that because he completely lost the team. Let's face it. He lost the team. I don't really think that the stars of the team, being Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, ever really bought into him. I mean, when he got hired, even though I have to believe they were in on and signed off on his hiring, they were like, "Oh, we don't even need a coach. We don't need him. We don't need anyone that looks like him. We don't need his assistants. We can do this ourselves." And
Right.
once you have that from the onset, there's no way to grow from there. Although he's had a very he had a great NBA career. He didn't garner the respect, and so as a result, it was no shock that they eventually relieved him. And if you remember, in the summer, when Katie required or requested a trade, it was he kind of made it it's him or me type of thing. And Joe Tsai, you know, stood his ground and was like, nah, that's not going to happen, and we're going to stay tight with, the structure that's in place with Steve Nash and Sean Marks and all of that. And then fast forward 6 or 7 games into the season where the team was, obviously underperforming based on skill level, they made the move to get Nash out of there. One bright spot is they seem to be in the talks of signing Ime Udoka, which I think is going to be a fantastic hire. Number one, Ime Udoka is not afraid. In my opinion, he's not afraid to address the or challenge the stars of the team. I think Steve Nash, for some reason, as decorated as his career was, he didn't feel confident enough to call out Kyrie, to call out KD. And I think Ime will. I think it's a fantastic hire. I think he has the toughness that he can convey to the stars to get them to, create an identity on the defensive end. And that's what we need. Scoring has never been a problem for the Nets. I think defensively, that's where we're lacking. I like what's going on with that. Hopefully that hire happens. And then we'll touch a little more on the whole Kyrie situation. What do you say?
Well, listen, I agree with you. I think the whole Steve Nash thing was a debacle from the beginning. Again, as most had stated, he probably shouldn't even gotten that job. He wasn't fit for that job. He was way in over his head with the level of superstardom that team already comprised. The expectations were really high. And let's just face it, you talked about the defense. Steve Nash never played defense in his life. He came from a team and a coach with Mike D'Antoni that had a 7-second or less type of philosophy. So, he doesn't know what defense is. He wouldn't be able to he couldn't stop a stop sign and the stop sign doesn't even move. So he has nothing to offer there defensively. Definitely couldn't establish any culture. Way in over his head. The superstardom. Kyrie and KD were very, very tough to deal with. Again, I still put some burden and some blame on those guys. I think they also were very, very destructive in trying to even get anything established there with Steve Nash. I think they sabotaged him, to your point, in the very beginning, early on, stating they didn't need a coach and so forth. And as we were talking about one time behind in our pre-production, look, Jacques Vaughn was already prophesied into existence when they said we can have him as a coach as well. So here he is. So, the thing that we're looking at here, though, again, with the whole Steve Nash thing and the whole Brooklyn culture thing, and I think we talked about it, he didn't have all his pieces. He came in with some depth. He lost all his depth when he had to get James Harden there. The guys hardly play together. It's my understanding like maybe 11 games in total. The big three for Brooklyn even played together. Playoff system, playoff series, they got hurt. James Harden, Kyrie, KD was left alone. And the thing is with KD, and I've always said this, KD is not a leader. Never been, never will be on the court. That's not what he is. He's a baller. That's all. He's not a guy that's going to galvanize guys. He's not like a LeBron James or a Magic Johnson that's going to bring guys together and uplift the team and take everybody to another level. This hence why he went to Golden State. KD needs culture. KD needs system to be able to thrive. He's a great player, top 5 or top 2, arguably whatever you want to call him of all time. But KD needs structure. That's what he needs. That's why he left Oklahoma to go to Golden State. Now he's got this thing, well, I want to win on my own, and I want to prove I can win without the Golden State structure. But we've seen how that's going so far. He's just not that dude for that. But that doesn't mean that KD isn't great. I still think he has an opportunity to win a championship. The whole Ime Udoka thing, it's not going to happen, D. I'm telling you now, a lot of politics involved. That's what's going to usurp and definitely supplant any type of happenings in terms of Ime Udoka coming there. It's not going to happen because, again,
I disagree.
It's too much going on. It's way too much. Listen, they got a lot of stuff happening. That organization right now it's goofy. Okay, it's a lot of stuff happening. I know we're going to talk about the Kyrie situation, but it's been problematic since the time KD and Kyrie got there. The last thing that Adam Silver is going to want is you're going to bring in Ime Udoka. You already know there's a lot of sensitivity surrounding his situation in Boston. Yes, he violated their organization rules and policies, but bringing him in, you're going to add a lot of detractors. There's going to be a lot of resistance. You're going to have the whole from Me Too movement and a lot of other things that are going to be there.
Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there because if I understand correctly what happened in the Celtics organization, number one, Ime Udoka violated a Boston Celtics policy. That's first off. Number two, let's not make Ime Udoka a sexual predator. He had a consensual relationship with a consenting adult, right?
Yes.
And I think the violation was more of a hierarchy type of as far as a management status or position within the organization. That is the violation. There is no Me Too anything involved in that. Two adults, obviously maybe a lot of moral stuff. Morally, they made some misjudgments, but this is the problem that we're dealing with. Society wants to, people make mistakes, they make bad decisions, and now they have to wear a scarlet letter. You shouldn't have a job based on the fact that you made a mistake, you made a bad decision. I totally disagree with that. Okay, one thing has nothing to do with the other.
I feel you on that, but here's the thing you got to keep in mind. I agree with all of what you said, and we only know what was reported as far as the consensual relationship, in which I believe that is what happened. But here is the thing that Adam Silver, I guarantee you he's going to do. He's going to vet that situation as far down to the roots as he possibly can, because the one thing he cannot risk, and neither can the Nets, if something comes out, if there is something that was not reported or something that was not covered through all of this that comes out that would make Udoka look bad or something that's going to bring up a lot of questions. Let me tell you, that signing is not going to happen until every stone has been unturned, until they know everything that's happened in that situation down to the bare bone, which I'm sure they probably know. And then the second thing is Adam Silver's going to have to know how to navigate that. How is he going to say, look, and even with the Nets, because here's the thing, and I'll just put this little tidbit in here with the Kyrie thing. This whole thing with Kyrie and the Nets suspending him, that was pushed by Adam Silver. He wanted that to happen. He waited for the Nets to make a move. They were kind of dragging their feet on that. And so he kind of took matters in his own hand with Kyrie. He's going to do the same thing with Udoka. I think there's going to be a lot of things that's got to be vetted before that happens. They would report, oh, within 2 hours, he's going to be the next coach. He's right now signing. He's already flew into Brooklyn. He picked out a brownstone. You know, he
That's
lives
right.
on Flatbush Avenue already. No, he nowhere near there.
That's fine. That's
I
fine.
gotta make sure. That's all I'm saying. But I agree with all your points. He should
And
not be without a job. I do think he should be hired again. He is a good
And this is something that we did not address. Number one, I think if Adam Silver is really inserting himself in a situation, a hiring process to this degree, I think that is a dangerous situation. Number two, if somebody, forget if it's NBA, if it's MLB, if it's NFL, if somebody violates a company policy, why is Ime Udoka the only person that is thrown and put in the public light to be abused, to be I mean, let's face it. If someone violates and it was two parties, and if they say, if it's a lie, the Celtics told it, they said it was a consensual relationship, right? So we're only basing off of the stuff that they actually released. Nobody knows,
oh yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
more than the individuals involved. But the Celtics put it out that it was consensual. But why is Ime the only person? Number one, once you suspend somebody and you have them, two things let you know that they had no plan of him ever coaching again. You suspend him, and now that the Nets are interested in him being the new head coach, they don't want any compensation for his services.
Right.
So basically, I think it was a punishment that was far and beyond what it really called for, being in a consensual situation.
Totally agree.
I think that if you're going to sever ties, go ahead and sever ties. But if you're going to say, oh, we're going to suspend him, but now we want him just to take the backlash and not have the ability to move on, they should just move on. They should have just cut ties and kept it moving. But I mean, that's my opinion. I think that.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish your
I think ultimately, Adam Silver, if he starts to really try to dictate from a coaching standpoint, a philosophy, a culture, he tries to interweave himself into it, because there are, throughout all sports circles, there's dysfunction everywhere. So you can't let the commissioner start to determine your personnel, your coaching. That's for the team. And if they do something outside the lines, then that's when the commissioner, he's supposed to oversee operations of the NBA as a whole. He doesn't dictate, oh, you can hire this person. You can't hire that person because of image. Because if the NBA and these other teams, NFL, there's a lot of glass houses. So nobody can throw stones at any time. You got to let this play out. I think it would be a perfect time to insert Ime Udoka, because Kyrie's suspended. Hopefully he can start to stable the organization, get some structure in there. So when Kyrie does come back, because they suspended him for a minimum of 5 games. So we really don't know if it's going to be just 5 games. But I think you get a structure, a coach in there, whether he has baggage or not. I think he has moral baggage. I don't think he's done anything that any other coach or has done before and was still able to get a job. And I don't think the time frame that it's such a short time frame. I think his services are needed. And a team is willing to pick him up. That's it.
I'll say this last piece on this, though. This is what I do believe. First of all, it's strange that Boston would even allow Ime Udoka to go to a rival team, right? Like the Nets out of all teams, with a KD and potentially a Kyrie coming back, right? To me, that's weird. So holding him like they did, obviously because they wanted compensation for him, because they knew he was going to be highly coveted at some point as a coach and going to kick the tires to see if Boston, what they really were going to do with him. Because to hold him and not let him go, to your point, that's very weird to me. But the thing you got to keep in mind, D, at the end of the day, I see where you're coming from. You're looking at it from a basketball perspective, but Adam Silver is going to always, whether we think or not, and any commissioner is going to do this, they have to protect still their brand. You look at what happened to Robert Sarver in Phoenix and the things that he said. They only suspended him until what happened? Everybody pushed back and said, this man needs to go. He needs to be done. What happened to him needs to also, what should happen to him should happen, what happened to Don Sterling in L.A. So that's the same thing. And what did Adam Silver do? He buckled, and now all of a sudden we see Sarver selling the team. Again, it's all about the optics for the NBA right now. And I think Adam Silver, because he's been a hands-on owner, a commissioner, very complicit with the players. He's been very supportive of everything. So now he's going to have to show that same thing, even with these alleged anti-Semitic allegations and things with Kyrie coming forth, not to mention that the Brooklyn Nets. Again, it's a straight debacle right now. And if he was going to another team with a little less visibility, not a whole lot of drama going on, that might be a little different there. But he's going to come into a franchise that's taking headlines right now. Win or lose, there's a lot going on. And trust me, Adam Silver is going to have a say-so in that. And he's going to make sure everything is on the up and up because he can't deal with any more surprises at this point. Basketball-wise, great move. It's who the Nets really need. But again, we know, you and I know this, D. It's always business, bottom line, and it's about optics. It's about advertisers. It's all about the brand, and that's something that's going to play a role in the hiring of Udoka if that is to happen.
Well, I hope that's not the case. But let's talk a little bit about Kyrie. I mean, there's so much to unpack here. Kyrie, we'll fast forward. Kyrie posted a link to his social media that is a movie based on what is, by Rolling Stone's terms, was extremely anti-Semitic.
Right.
And when he was asked about it, he, doubled down. He didn't really apologize. I guess the media was looking for an apology. And then it spilled over to the Nets organization. It spilled over to the commissioner getting involved. And they were looking for this, unequivocal apology that he was sorry that he offended so many people. And initially, Kyrie doubled down and said that he cannot be anti-Semitic because he knows where he's from. He knows where he came from. And that obviously did not sit well. As a result, they pretty much... So my question is to you and to the people that are watching, where does it stop? Where does it end? As a result of his stance, be it correct, incorrect, we're not here to judge that. What we're here to, and what I want to pose to everyone, is the fact that, do we as Americans truly have freedom of speech? He stated what he felt was, he didn't give an apology. And the part that I think was baffling to most is he posted a link to his social media and didn't provide any context to that, which is dangerous. We're in a text, we're in a text generation where people don't talk on the phone. So our text is cold and it could be read many different ways. But when you have a conversation, a person, and if you're, let's say, having a conversation in person, people can now add other parts to it. They can see your body language, your tone, all of that stuff plays a part. But when you just send a text or you send a tweet or you post a link with no context, you leave it up to people to make their own determination. And my problem is that they wanted him to apologize. He eventually apologizes. But as a result, the Nets suspended him. Minimum 5 games. And I don't know exactly what they said following. I guess they have to feel good about the steps that he's taking in order to reinstate him. Nike just dropped him. They were supposed to be launching his signature shoe, and he's had a very lucrative Nike contract since I think 2014 or 15. He lost that. Obviously, he's suspended. Obviously, he's in all sports and regular news cycles. And At what point are we as Americans allowed to have an opinion? Can we, as free Americans, offend and be offended? I mean, if someone has a differing view and they bring it to the table, whether they're right or wrong, and you disagree, is the instead of having the conversation and getting some information, his perspective, their perspective, and actually coming, having a meeting of the minds. No, we're just going to punish you because you don't share the same views we have, and you don't apologize in the time frame that we think you should apologize. I think that is a totally that's a bet. I mean, what are we teaching our kids and potential grandkids? Are we teaching them that if you have a different view, if you don't see things the way other people see it, that you should either shut up and keep it to yourself? What is wrong with exploration, asking questions? And I brought this up before. I had one of my best friends come in town just the last week or the week before, and I've known this guy for 30 years. He's a Jewish brother, and we had a conversation. And the beautiful thing about it is sometimes with people you care about, you love, or even if you are just in casual conversation, you have to have those tough and difficult conversations where you express your perspective, the person expresses their perspective, and if it comes from a good place, and that place is trying to gain knowledge, trying to learn about a different culture, because I know we use all the cliches, I'm from New York, it's a melting pot, and I grew up in a very diverse environment. Sheepshead Bay, everything, every culture, creed you can think of was there, and I think that molded me to not only see my perspective, but see other people's. But at the same time, it's okay to agree to disagree. And I think by doing this, stripping him of everything, that what message is that giving to society? Go ahead. The floor is yours.
I listen, D. I don't disagree with not one iota of everything you just said. I'm totally in concert with that. I totally agree. I think in America we have not learned how to differentiate difference versus what would be considered to be hate, or someone having some disdain for another group of people simply because of their race, their religion, their ethnicity. And I think what Kyrie and Kanye and these guys are doing, they're exploring, right? They want to know. Now, the problem is, of course, these guys don't know how to articulate their points, and I think they might need a little more guidance, and they may be getting the guidance, but maybe for whatever reason, they're not adhering to the guidance or how to articulate their points. They're learning this information, but they don't know how to articulate it. And to your point about the Instagram post and promoting, or at least what it appears to be the promotion of the video, is that, again, no context, rather, excuse me. There was nothing there to say. When he had the interview, he did not unequivocally point out what parts within the video that he agreed or disagreed with, other than saying the word some. And when he says that I can't be anti-Semitic because I know where I'm come from, that's him basically saying, I know where I come from. I am a Hebrew. I am Jew. That's really what he's saying. I am that. So I know that I can't be that, because then I would be that against myself. And so that's the thing he's saying between the lines. But the thing is this: why can't we have a conversation, set up a forum with people like Kyrie and others who see where their power structure is and why the power structure does the things that it does? You often hear me talk about within even the hip hop community, it's a murderous culture. It's been that way for a long time, but we do have power structures both within the Jewish community, also within European structure here in the United States, that fund that music, that subscribes to that music, and as a result of that, it continues to perpetuate the violence that they don't put into their own culture. Now, me saying that does not make me anti-Semitic, because I'm not saying that all Jews are that way. I'm not saying that all Europeans are that way. What I am saying is that why can't we have a conversation to discuss why is that okay for you to fund, for you to invest in, and to make millions of dollars off of a culture that is destroying themselves? And we as Black people, right? That's a question we need to ask ourselves. Why do we subscribe to that? Why is it that 50 Cent could have such a powerful documentary like For Life that gets canceled after 2 seasons, but every trilogy of Power and BMF and all these other things that perpetuate violence in our community gets galvanized and it gets gravitational pull with our people, right? Because there's a brainwashing there. But that's the conversation, right? Why can't someone sit down and say, hey, let's talk about all these things because I have questions and I want to know. It doesn't mean that somebody is racist. It doesn't mean that they're anti-Semitic. It doesn't mean that they're anti-slavery, anti-black. There's a lot of discussion with critical race theory. People got their issues with it. Well, let's have a conversation and let's talk about that. I totally agree with you, D. I thought you eloquently pointed that out. I think that's an issue that we have in our culture. And you know what it's going to take for that to happen? People like Kanye, people like Kyrie, at the end of the day, who do not care about money. It's not about money for these guys. It never has been. Otherwise, they wouldn't do. Well, Kyrie's on the brink of losing almost $300 million after it's all said and done between contracts and endorsements. And then what he lost last year, he's losing money again so far this year, at least 5 games worth of a salary as far as we know to date. So the thing is this with these guys, and we see what's happened to Kanye. Listen, somebody's got to be the sacrificial lamb, as they would say, right? Who's going to be the one to say, you know what, let's push past this. I don't mind being ostracized and vilified, but I want us to be able to get to the table to have a conversation about these things so we can really explore and we can really find out what it is that people are saying and how they think about other cultures and what they do, because everything we do as a culture affects the one next to us. So we got to be able to have those conversations and see where we are on that. But great point, D. I don't disagree with anything you said, sir.
Yeah, and I totally agree with what you said. Having the discussion, having an open dialogue is the healthiest way to deal with differences of opinion, misconceptions, any type of stereotypes that we have that we've been conditioned or have been indoctrinated into us, maybe from family, maybe from experiences. That's the best way. Have an open dialogue. The only thing that is interesting to me that has not been addressed, or at least I haven't heard anyone say, is Kyrie sent a link to his social media, but the platform that is putting out this movie that is so anti-Semitic, that is so egregious and just it's hurtful. Right. Amazon, nothing is being said. Nobody is calling for an oust of Amazon, boycott Amazon,
Nope.
forcing them to shut down the movie. Because let me tell you, when controversy happens, people either are completely drawn to it, like moths to a flame, or they don't want any part of it. So let's not make any mistake about it. Amazon is making money while we speak because people are going to watch that movie just to make their own opinion of it, whether it's positive or negative, to confirm what they believe. Oh yeah, that is anti-Semitic, or to watch it and say, well, what parts? Unfortunately, Kyrie not putting context leaves people to kind of figure out what parts does he agree with, what parts, because if something is anti-Semitic in it, what part do you specifically agree with? So while we are destroying one individual for having or sharing a link, why isn't anyone saying anything and holding Amazon accountable? Is it about getting your packages in 13 minutes? Or is it about a bigger picture where you felt offended and felt like this type of platform? Because then Amazon can say, well, we can't censor what is available to people, because people do have a freedom of they have a freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of expression. So that platform, that's how they can protect themselves, by having it on their platform. But if Kyrie sends a link, then no, off with his head. I just think that there is some hypocrisy in that.
Big time.
That's all I got to say about that.
I couldn't agree more. I'll just say this last point to that, and I agree with you, D. Although I would say this, right? I think it's okay for Amazon to have the movie. And I think that's what you're saying. You're just saying the hypocrisy between Kyrie getting shut down, right, and he's being silenced or made to be apologetic, but nothing is being done to Amazon by way of accountability. But that's just what the whole point of our discussion is today, right? that Amazon, it should be okay for them to put that up there. Netflix has videos and documentaries on slavery, and they have Black History Month, and all the streaming networks give you all these videos and stuff that happen in our history as Black people, right? And some of it is controversial, some of it is true, some of it is untrue, however you look at it. But everyone should have a right to watch something and formulate their own opinion. And if there's questions, then let's have a dialogue. But you're right, there's a lot of hypocrisy there. Kyrie, what's happening to him should not be the case. I totally agree. And Amazon, if we're going to shut down Kyrie, then Amazon needs to be held to the same accountable standards.
Absolutely. Let's move on. We spent enough in Brooklyn.
We've been in Brooklyn for a minute.
Right.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about the NFL before. Okay, week 9, there's about 6 teams on the bye. There's the 49ers and 5 other teams that are on a bye. So with that being said, we have to pick the teams, the games that are, that have the most pop.
Right.
I think the Bucs and the Rams, that should be a good game. I think it's make it or break it for these two teams. They're both spiraling out of control. And I think that from the Bucs standpoint, now, Tom Brady has not looked like himself. We know that he's dealing with a lot off the field. And I think just like anything else, when they say don't bring work home, he's bringing home to work. And I think it's a situation where they still are in a winnable division. Yes, and if they can right the ship now, they may have an opportunity to make the playoffs. But it starts with this game. If they lose this game after dropping 3 in a row, I think with Atlanta making their move, I think that, the Saints always kind of lingering and hanging around with, jostling quarterbacks back and forth. I think that this is the only time that the Bucs, they need to right the ship. As far as the Rams are concerned, once again, it's Cooper Kupp or bust. I think ultimately they have no running game. And as impressed as everyone was with Sean McVay, he's come back down to earth because he's a kind of a one-dimensional offensive player. I mean, you have a good quarterback, right? Matthew Stafford. But let me tell you, Matthew Stafford threw 41 touchdowns just last year.
Right.
This year, he's on pace for 17 touchdowns.
Wow.
Terrible. Wow. He is, I don't know if he's playing through an injury. I don't know what it is, but clearly how the mighty have fallen. So I look at it like if these teams, whoever wins this has a chance out of these two teams. Whoever loses, it's over. It's pretty much over. I mean, with the NFC South, it's never over because all the teams are trash. But I think for Tom Brady to drop 4 in a row, I just don't see it. So what do you say about that?
No, I totally agree. I think what we're looking at here, again, to your point, as it relates to the Buccaneers, it's do or die for them. 3 in a row, you drop 4 if you lose this game. That's not going to look good at all. I think Tom Brady is not totally focused. His concentration is certainly altered right now. A lot of things going on, as we know, in his personal life, and clearly it is affecting his play. At least that's what we believe. But the whole team hasn't played well. The defense has not been good. The running game has not been solid. There's a lot of issues there. The receivers and they don't even look like they're on the same page with Brady and vice versa. So the whole team is right now in a flux, I think. And so I don't think they, because of the division, it's hard for me to count them out totally. Even if they lose this game, I gotta still say there's still hope. To your point, the division is very weak and it's up for grabs. And even though Carolina, with the record that they have, at some point, right, we still got a few more games left. They could play spoiler if worst case scenario to somebody that's trying to still grab this division, be it Atlanta or Tampa Bay, right, or even New Orleans. So again, it's hard to count them out in totality, but they got to win this game. Van Jefferson, from what I understand, should be playing in this game on Sunday for the Rams. They'll have him back, but I mean, but will it matter? They may not throw him the ball either, right? Doesn't matter, right? He probably gets more receptions on the sideline than he does on the field because Cooper Kupp is the only guy guy that they tend to throw to. So he might be the only one that's in the offensive needings pretty much because.
But Cup is dealing with an injury, so it's going to be interesting. They said that he didn't have structural damage to his ankle.
Right.
He took a
Right.
bad hit from Warner towards the end of the game. So
Right.
Cooper Kupp's not 100%, so he is going to Stafford's going to have to look at Allen Robinson and Van Jefferson.
Listen.
Otherwise than that, they can just tee off.
Let me tell you something, D. If he's in uniform, he's on that field, Stafford is going to look for him. It don't matter. He can have no arms, no legs. He could roll out there in a wheelchair if he could catch somehow with his chest and trap the ball between his shoulders and get the – he's going to do that. Stafford is going to look for him no matter what. It doesn't matter. They are – and you made a good point, I felt, when you talked about McVay. McVay, unfortunately, is not a creative as we kind of maybe thought he is. He is, but he's still very limited within his genius, I would say, right? And he hasn't been able to find other ways to get other guys the ball and to be creative and put people in place. Because Allen Robinson is a very good receiver, and I am, and as everybody is, we're shocked that he's not getting the ball. Higbee even is still a good target. Not seeing how come he's not really getting the ball a lot in that regard. So yeah, I just think it's a bad situation. Let me just say this real quick. My take in with as far as Kupp being out there with no extremity, still catching the ball. Okay, I just want to make sure make it clear that is in no wise offending anyone out there that is mobility impaired of any kind. Let me just put that out there. My point is only just the fact of the matter that Stratford is going to find Cooper Kupp. If he's in uniform, he's going to throw him the ball. No matter how injured he might be, he's still going to find him and throw the ball. But you know what? Nevertheless, though, I think I'm still going to take the Bucs to win this game, and because they need it. Both teams need it. But I think the Rams, I don't think they really care. And that might sound crazy to say. I just don't know if their heart is into it. I think they got their ring. I think they're kind of complacent and they might be looking towards next season. Right. They didn't make any moves, right? As far as I know, in the trade deadline, right? So
no, and what can't be understated is the impact of missing Von Miller, because their defense is not just hard. Overall, both sides of the ball, special teams, offense, defense, they're missing some pieces.
And Odell.
And Odell, of course.
Yeah.
Do you have a score?
Do I have a score? So I think I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. I'm going to go 28-17. I think that's where I'm at on that one. 28-17. I don't think I think the Bucs defense will show up because they're home. I think that's the difference for me. So 28-17. I think the Bucs are really going. Yeah.
Bucs are a 3-point favorite at home. I'm going to go 27-24 Tampa Bay. I think they get it done 27-24. Let's move on to the next game that we're going to talk about, which is Kansas City and Tennessee Titans. Mm-hmm. My take on it is the only way that Tennessee has an opportunity is if they take possessions away. That means Derrick Henry, eat your Wheaties. We need you to rush for another 200 yards. Yeah. If they have some long drives where I'm talking 6-7 minutes, and they can take possessions away from, because the only way you can stop Mahomes is to have Mahomes on the sideline. Clearly, with whether it's Malik Willis or it's I forget the quarterback's name. In any case, Malik Willis is probably Ryan Tannehill. Excuse me. Unless you have either one, Ryan Tannehill has more experience. Malik Willis has been thrown in. And I don't know who's going to be starting, because I'm thinking Tannehill seems like he's moving in that direction that he'll start. But you can't really depend on Tannehill. Who's he throwing to? Even Malik, who there's no receivers. Their promising receivers are all injured. And so you have Derrick Henry or bust. That's a one-dimensional team if I've ever seen one. So the only chance that they have to win, because they have beat Kansas City before. They've beaten Kansas City with Tyreek. They had a fully loaded team, and they ran the air out of the ball, and they shut them down. And Patrick Mahomes could only look from the sideline. So I think Derrick Henry is going to have another big running game. I would say upwards of at minimum 150 to 200 yards, and that's the only opportunity they could have to even beat Kansas City. What do you say?
Well, again, hate not to really give any polarizing take on this, but I gotta agree with you again, D, on this one as well. It seems like we're in agreement with a lot of stuff today. That's a good point. I think they gotta just run the ball. You got to keep Mahomes off the field. If they can neutralize that KC offense by keeping him on the field by running the football, I think that's really your only chance to win. The Titans kind of remind me of the NFC version of the Minnesota Vikings, right? They're sneaky good, but yet no one really believes that they're as good as they need to be to kind of go all the way, right? You still kind of see them fluttering at some point in the playoffs and what have you, because they become either Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. He's going to let you down. All you got to do is play him prime time every night. Just put them on Sunday Night Football every night, and then they'll never win again. As long as he's quarterbacking. And then with the Titans, it's like if Derrick Henry doesn't run the ball well, right? Then what else is there? And you lost AJ Brown, which I didn't understand why they even would let him. That was a huge extract from that team. So I think the thing is for them, but again, they can win this ball game. They just got to be able to run the ball. If that running game somehow is ineffective, it could be a long day for Tennessee, because Mahomes and those boys, and he got that new weapon now, got that new receiver coming in there from the New Jersey whatever their team is out there. I forget where he came from. Hint.
Giants. Came from the Giants.
Oh, came from the Giants. Okay, all right.
Kadarius Toney. And I think he is going to be, he is right now, after Travis Kelce, Kelce obviously is a tight end. He's the best receiver they have. He's dynamic. He's dynamic.
Unlike the New Jersey Giants, of course, they don't know how to use anybody but Barkley, right? That's about the only guy they him and just run Daniel Jones up the middle of the field. That's about it, in a quarterback draw. That's all they do. They only got 2 plays in the playbook, that's it. So again, I think when you look at Kansas City, again, they know how to use everybody. They know how to use everybody, and they know how to get guys involved. That's a team that you can give a lot of weapons to, and nobody will go undone. Nobody will be waste, okay? They're going to know how to bring those guys in. So, yeah. So, I got Kansas City for I still got Kansas City winning that game, but if Tennessee can run the ball, I wouldn't be surprised if they win.
What's the score?
I got a score of 20... let's see. No, I'm actually gonna go. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do something quirky. I'm gonna do like a 22-14.
22-14.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something quirky.
I don't know how you're coming up with these numbers.
I like Tennessee's defense, though. I do like their defense. I think they'll make it a little challenging for KC.
I think those are Powerball numbers. You trying to do 22-47? How it is? There's a safety involved. What's going on? Okay, cool. I'm going to go with Kansas City as well. It is $1.6 billion. It is a $1.6 billion Powerball.
So you got to work your numbers. You got to work your numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I like Kansas City as well. I think Andy Reid's record coming off of a bye is phenomenal. I think that they're still missing Tyreek, but they find a way to get it done. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is such a great quarterback. He will, like you said, utilize every piece. He'll be throwing it to the water boy. Everybody involved.
Everybody. No-look passes to everyone. Everybody gets a no-look pass, right.
But I think based on the fact that they no longer have the home run hitter of Tyreek, their drives are pretty long. So I think the game is going to go by pretty fast between Tennessee running and the fact that now, on average, Kansas City has 6, 7, 8 play drives themselves. But I do like them to win. I think I like Kansas City to win 24-17. 24-17, Kansas City. And we'll see who's right. Just a quick, flashback. I did call that Cleveland was going to run all over the Bengals, and Chubb. It was all Chubb. Chubb was running all over them, and they got the W. So finally, you took a loss on your prediction. I feel pretty good about that. So we'll see what happens. I think you're taking the safe course and picking every team that I pick, so that way you keep that that distance of your W's to L's. But that's cool. I mean, do whatever you got to do. Safety.
Listen. You listen. I have accurately up to the last week pick this because again, I think about the numbers. It's the Powerball thing, right? You gotta predict, 2 safeties, 3 field goals. You know what I'm saying? You gotta know how to break your numbers out. You're gonna learn that, D, as the show goes on. You'll see how this works. You know what I'm saying? And really it's the other way around. You when you win this week, it's because you asked me first what my pick is. So when I tell you to pick first, and then whatever you pick after that,
that was based on just the flow of the show. It wasn't. I mean, we could next week we could try saying it at the same time and see if the listeners hear. Oh, number 2, no, it won't work. It won't work the same way. So it's based on the flow of the show.
It's based on the flow of the show. All right.
But I think that was great.
Yeah, man.
Ultimately, we ask everyone, please like and subscribe. Share. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions or anything that you want to pose to us, any topic that you want to bring up, that you want us to discuss, any team, real quick, I will say this. The Eagles had played yesterday, and I'm not as impressed or think that they're that far ahead of the rest of the NFC. Yes, they have an 8-0 record, but that left side, they were getting at Hurts a lot. So I just envisioned my team matching up against their offensive line. It'll be a field day. I think Nick Bosa, if we get Eric Armstead back, they're going to be licking their chops to really get after him. And so it's going to be interesting. They're not 8-0. They are what their record says they are. I mean, they're undefeated. Jalen Hurts has played well. I think Brown is a huge addition. Brown is what he has allowed him to make that quantum leap, just like what they did with the Buffalo Bills by bringing. I think it's a major jump. But I'm not super impressed by what I've seen. What do you say?
No, I'm not either. And look, and to your point, when you bring in a really good receiver for a budding quarterback or developing quarterback, it makes a world of a difference, okay? We saw it in Dallas. Dak numbers. Dak really got his contract because of Amari Cooper. When Coop got there, Dak's numbers soared. We were really able to see what type of quarterback he was once he got a number 1. And like you said, with Diggs over there in Buffalo, helping Josh Allen evolve and take that next level. We see it with A.J. Brown in Philly. So no, a receiver makes a world of a difference. No question about it. But I agree. I mean, I play these guys twice a year. The Eagles are not all of that. They were not all of that. Even before the struggles we saw in the Texans game. Look, there's ways to stop this RPO. That's really what they got. They can be neutralized. And again, Dallas Cowboys with a backup quarterback still cut that game to 3. They should have blown us out by 50 in that game, but they could not, all right? All you got to do is really have a good defense, keep them honest, keep them restricted somewhat, and you can still score. And their back end is really good, but they still struggled a lot. And they didn't look good against the run either. And then to your point with the pass rush on that left side, because Jalen Hurts was under some duress in that game. So listen, they're just a really good team. They're not great. They're not blowing anybody away. In fact, don't worry about it. You won't even see them. We'll take care of them for you guys because we need a rematch with the San Francisco 49ers. We're coming to see you guys, or y'all going to come to Dallas, and we're going to have to do this all over again because y'all obliterated us last year. I looked at in detail the all 22 of that game from last year, man. And D, I'm going to say, man, and it hurts me because I can't stand. If you're a Cowboy fan, you hate the 49ers, Steelers, and everybody in the NFC East. We got, obliterated. Y'all punked us through that. Our whole offensive line, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, 2 Hall of Famers. Those guys look bad, okay? Bad against your front 4. So listen, y'all got it, but we gonna see y'all. So don't worry about the Eagles. Don't be thinking about them. Y'all need to be thinking about us, okay? Don't even think about the Eagles. Don't worry. We're gonna take care of them for y'all. We're gonna see them again, and we're gonna put them and make them look like the team they are. The Philadelphia Feebles. That's who they are.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And hopefully we'll see in the playoffs what teams are really made of. But thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Week 9 recap.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Week 9 preview, excuse me. It
sir.
should be some interesting stuff. Hopefully, you'll join us next time. Please like, share, subscribe. We really appreciate it. Once again, if there's any topics that you want to discuss, please put up, ask questions, anything. We love to interact with you. Thank you. Until next time, we'll see you next week.
Peace out.